Hey there, it's Perry. Welcome back to the channel. Please hit subscribe, like, and share if you enjoy the content you are seeing here. Welcome back. We're going to talk a little bit today about aquascaping. We're going to talk a little bit about modular reefing and how those two things tie in together to create a well-run bare bottom system. So while today we're not really going to get into the topic of running a proper bare bottom system, I think it's important that we talk about setting up the structure to take advantage of running a proper bare bottom system. So with the bare bottom system in mind, you obviously want to keep everything lifted up in suspension, no detritus settling throughout the tank. That would be the goal. And so in doing so, I knew I needed to utilize different techniques in order to get a healthy looking ecosystem as well as the appearance of a mature reef, but without having so much rock jammed in there as to limit flow. So that being said, I used some PVC. As you can see, a big piece of rock with the Bill Murray, the pink lemonade, and the Tyree pink the bear over to the left side is actually suspended on a piece of PVC. If you look at the front of the display, in the dead center is the pearlberry. It is out on full display, as she should be. That rock has about 4 larger colonies on it that are all on one rock, and that rock too is on a larger piece of PVC that stands a little bit taller. Now in the rear of the tank, there's a stand that I made out of egg crate that's about 5 inches deep, about 5 inches tall, and about 24 inches long. So it is against the back of the glass in the rear of the tank, and it actually has some colonies that you see that look like they're floating or utilizing a bonsai type effect, when in reality they're just growing on top of a rack in the back, and it's given the illusion of this one reef structure. There are about 5 rocks total in the system. The max amount of colonies per rock is about 4 or 5. So most of these rocks are individually mounted, whether it be on 3 by 3 inch tiles, nano rock from Marco, the nano Marco rubble, or smaller pieces of rock in general, or aqua domes. All of those were used in order to build out this aquascape. So let me show you a little closer. Now from the side, you can really get a feel for the design. So the corals start on tiles, and the smaller ones are towards the front, and as they grow, then they're placed with color in mind and growth shape in mind to create a contrasting effect. And then they begin to get bigger corals as you go towards the back, where the majority of the colonies are located. Again, there's a rack in the back there where a lot of those colonies are mounted, but there are some smaller rocks as well, and then they're kind of pushed together. So it looks like a lot of rock, when in reality it's just a bunch of corals that are mounted on their own individual rocks that are placed next to one another to give that contrasting effect. Let me show you a little closer what I mean. Here's that rack, and you can see that Miyagi's torch base on that rack, and then that rock right there secures that rack in place. And then you can see those 2 millies are on one piece of rock, and they're actually suspended partially on the rock, partially on the PVC, and partially on the rack in the back there. And again, so as you pull back, it looks like it's one piece of rock. When you go closer, you realize that these are, just rocks that are pushed up next to one another, and some of them are suspended. And so it allows for less detritus settling. From the other side, you can really check it out and really see there's a tunesy that blows over the back of the tank, and that's done to keep detritus from settling in the back of the tank. But right there, you can see that piece of PVC on the glass is where that larger rock with the pearlberry and the red table and the bonfire and the fox flame are mounted. And then as I go down from the Bill Murray, that rock is also suspended. And then as we pan and go towards the front, you can see exactly there's an example of the nano rock mounting of a colony, and that's the Tyree tricolor. So we get back to the front of the tank, and we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Just a short video. It doesn't need to be long, because the idea again is with creating the scape was setting up for running the bare bottom system. And so hopefully in time we may have to change flow patterns of the pumps and things of that nature as the colonies grow out. But I've given ample space for the colonies to grow out, and given that they're on individual rocks, as they grow out, I can continue to move the structure away from the corals, away from one another, and I still have about 4 or 5 inches of space on either side to play with, as you can see. All right, so if I needed to move the structure a little bit, I wouldn't really have a problem moving the structure about. If I needed to move a rock 2 inches one way or another rock 1 inch one way, or move the whole structure a couple inches forward, I have more wiggle room to allow more of these colonies to get more mature and to grow out. And the larger they become, the more everything begins to fill in, and the less rock you see, the better the tank is going to look. And while I know those tiles up front, they do look kind of ugly, some of them are relatively new and are going through some of that algae phase. However, ultimately, they will be covered in coralline algae. And you know, the tank is still less than 3 months old from the transfer from the 90s. So it still has a ways to go in terms of maturity. Things are cooking right along. I'm really happy with the way things are going. But it's still a relatively immature reef. So hopefully we'll see those tiles look a little bit more coralline covered, the glass take on more coralline. So at the end of the day, if it can look like the whole bottom, the glass and the tiles are covered with coralline, then the vision of what I'm trying to create will have been fulfilled. And that's a part of it. So thanks for watching along. The next video I put out will be a little bit more in depth, so it may be a longer video because it will go into some of the bare bottom philosophy, but that's pretty much it for today. So in order to get to the bare bottom, I wanted to get to the aquascape, the reef structure, and again, I think that sets us up for the next video. So have a great day. Thanks again.